Welcome to another edition of Patriots No Huddle, brought to you by PatsFans.com. Derek Havens, Mike Diabate, Steve Balsherry here, your hosts as always. We are here to talk about the Patriots' victory in the Wildcard round over the Los Angeles Chargers last weekend, preview the upcoming game at home versus the Texans in the divisional round. Excited to talk about the games coming up and see if the Patriots can advance in this postseason run. Before we do anything, as always, Steve, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Hey, look, the Patriots won their wild card matchup against the Chargers. Great defensive effort. And now they're moving on to the divisional round. And, they're a win away from the AFC championship game. So everything is very good these days.
Absolutely. I think the sails are still full of wind right now, coming off a nice victory over the weekend. We're going to dive into some final thoughts there. We did have our post game recap episode, as we always do. Mike, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, man. It's always great when the Patriots are still in the playoffs and still playing meaningful football well into the month of January. They got themselves one hell of a matchup coming up this weekend. I know we're going to get to that, and we're going to talk about all the ins and outs and ups and downs, but it's just great to see the Patriots back in relevant football again. And all the other 31 NFL fan bases are completely miserable about it. You love it. If you're a Pats fan, you thrive on being the villain at this time of year.
No question. No question. And look, I think that I think this season's felt a little bit different. I think it's because of the expectations, no Bill, no Brady. But I do think people have kind of liked the Patriots for the most part. I do wonder if the other shoe is going to drop a little bit with Drake May getting so much praise and so much love. You do get the pushback online with the schedules, the schedule talk and all that. But for the most part, I think people have really enjoyed this Patriots team and enjoyed Drake May, which I think is frustrating for some of them based on the comments that you read on different platforms and forums. But look, if they keep winning, I'm not sure that's not gonna, we'll see if that changes or not. But my final thought, really coming off the Chargers game, is just how the Patriots were able to grind out just grind out kind of a rock fight type of game. And look, it wasn't Drake May's best game. The first half shaky, second half numbers significantly better. The Chargers did a lot in terms of taking away Stephon Diggs. They needed to go ahead and get a contribution from a bunch of different guys. Offensive line, we talked about, obviously a lot of concerns there, especially with the matchup this week. That's probably the biggest thing, which I know we're going to spend a ton of time on here momentarily. But I think what should give Patriots fans some confidence is they're being exposed to new challenges and continuing to meet them, gaining some experience. Also, little things, little nuanced things such as the substitutions and having guys take their time on and off the field and things like that. That shows me that Vrabel and the coaching staff has his thumbprints and their hands really all over this team in terms of preparation and getting them ready for these moments. And I don't think that should be ignored either. So that's definitely exciting. That's my biggest kind of takeaway as we are going into the second round. Mike, biggest takeaway from you now that you've had a couple of days to digest the Patriots victory over the Chargers?
Oh, I think resilience. I think New England took the Chargers' best shot when it came to what they were up against defensively, and they were able to weather the storm. The defense came up big, and they showed that they're able to carry this team as well. It doesn't always have to be on the shoulders of Drake May. So, in that regard, if you're a Patriots fan and you're looking at this game coming up against the Texans, you know that this team can withstand a heavy defensive onslaught, be able to adjust, make the adjustments when they need to, apply them on the field, even if it is a little bit later in the game. As long as they get solid contributions from that defense, they will still continue to be in any game. For this week, though, I think they want to get out to a much faster start than they did last week. I think they're going to need to. This is a much more adept team at being able to find your weaknesses and make you pay for them. So I don't think they'll be able to cookie cutter what they did last week against the Chargers and then put it out there against the Texans. They won't find themselves on the winning side, at least in my humble opinion, this week. But if you're a Pats fan, you love to see them take adversity and still be able to play through it. That's how winning is done in the playoffs. And the Patriots have showed that they can take hits and still keep moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. Steve, your thoughts on the Chargers game for the Patriots perspective? Do you agree with Mike? Do you want to add anything with me? Do you want to add something different?
Well, real quickly, I mean, look, they struggled in the first half. We saw that. But, Josh McDaniels has seen it all in his time. And the adjustments they made in the second half, Drake May was 11 of 14 for 175 yards and a touchdown in the second half. And they had that one fumble. But you look at the difference between the offense in the first half and the second half. And, I thought the offensive line as a whole settled down a little bit more in the second half. So I'm not of the opinion that this is like a panic type of game. I'm not at all. And look, the defense really answered the bell on Sunday. Now, looking at this matchup, I think the defense can continue that type of play. So it's going to be an interesting game, to say the least.
Definitely. I absolutely. Before we jumped online, gentlemen, we had some breaking news. Mike, do you care to share, since you were the one who broke it to me before we went live?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the credit to Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network was the one who originally broke the news. But former Texans defensive end Darrell Taylor is finding himself in a Patriots uniform. He is apparently being signed by the Pats today to the practice squad, and the report strongly indicates that the Patriots intend to elevate him for this game against the Texans. Now, Taylor obviously is coming in. This was a down year for him. He spent a good portion of the season on injured reserve, played just 4 games, quiet campaign. He only had 3 tackles with the Texans this year. But, Steve, as you and I were talking about before we went live, this was a kid that had a very impressive collegiate career at the University of Tennessee, 118 tackles, 26.5 tackles for loss, 19.5 sacks, 6 forced fumbles. He recovered 4 of those, and he broke up 7 passes in 38 games for the Volunteers. So someone who definitely came in with a lot of pedigree. He was a second-round pick by the Seattle Seahawks in 2020. Injury has been a problem for Taylor. It's certainly not talent. There's no question about it. 2022 was the year he stood out. He had a career-high 9.5 sacks, showed what he can do when he's healthy and dialed in. Not sure what this is going to do to move the needle for the New England Patriots, but at the very least, it's pass rush depth. It's a guy who knows the system that's played in Houston. For what it's worth, intel does count for some. I know coaches love to downplay that. I know the media really loves to downplay it, but it does count for something. There is insight that can be had. So this is a pure chess move by the New England Patriots, very Belichickian in the way that Mike Vrabel is doing his business over there at One Patriots Place. I like the signing, very, very low risk, potentially very high reward. We'll see what it yields. But with the Texans coming to town, you go behind enemy lines. You can't go wrong with bringing a guy like that in.
I'm with you. I think that, for one, I tweeted out when the news that he was released, I did make the similar reference to Belichick, that just the kind of move that the team would make in the past. I didn't think they would actually do it, so I don't want to, give myself too much credit there. I just think it was funny, just this week. This has been a productive player. He's kind of a niche role player, but he has obviously. I think it's worth kicking the tires on. For one, the Patriots seem to be exploring all pass rush avenues. That's certainly one of the biggest areas of the team that needs to be upgraded as soon as the offseason starts for them, and possible. This is a player in Darrell Taylor, who has been productive in certain places. Let's not forget, too, the Texans are stacked on defense. So even their bench players are playing behind very, very good players. When you even someone who's just a role player on on a good team like that, on a good unit, whether it's offense, defense, around the league, even a role player can blossom into a bigger role. I mean, but that's the danger, though, when you're scouting big schools in the draft, or whether you're doing pro scouting of other teams around you, is finding out which players are Batman and which ones are Robin, and which players can have the role players on teams that are stacked and then move to take on bigger roles, a la Milton Williams for the Patriots, for example. So, yeah, could be nothing. He could be gone in a week, as Paul Perillo uses the reference all the time. Why wouldn't have Darrell Taylor buy green bananas? So, but at the same time, I would say that this is a guy that I could hopefully lend some insights into what the Texans might do, defensively, because that's going to be the chess match here. We've been talking about that. So, Mike, hats off to you for bringing that up. Definitely think it's worth kind of checking out. Gentlemen, let's get into the breakdown of the game coming up this weekend. Again, the 5 seed Houston Texans coming to Gillette to play the 2 seed New England Patriots in the divisional round. Also have the Buffalo Bills facing the Denver Broncos to round out that AFC matchup. Really fascinating here, gentlemen. Obviously, I'm just kind of laying the groundwork for the conversation. Patriots win and the Bills win. The Bills would come to the Patriots next week for the championship game. Absolute drama, total theater. Patriots win. Denver wins. Patriots go to Denver to play the Broncos. Another, some terrific drama both way. Obviously, both depended on the Patriots winning. So we will just kind of lay that out there. We are going to give our predictions for all the games. But Mike, let's go to you first. Initial thoughts on the Houston Texans matchup for this Patriots team.
Defense. This Houston Texans team, and I say that with no disrespect to C.J. Stroud and the offensive skill position players he's got to work with in Houston. They are a talented group, and you saw them come alive in the second half against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday night. But this team is so predicated on what they do on defense. They're the number 1 defense in the NFL in terms of total defense, folks. So this team can do it all. They've got great weapons in all 3 levels. Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter are 2 of the toughest pass rushers that the Patriots will face, and they're facing them both in tandem at the same time. They love to apply pressure. This is not a team that blitzes a whole lot. They're that good at being able to apply pressure without having to dial up the blitz. So if I'm Josh McDaniels, I'm Drake May, I'm Mike Vrabel, I'm that Patriots offensive brain trust, you're in the room right now. You're scheming up ways that you can try to neutralize what they do well, because if they can control the line of scrimmage, it makes it very difficult to beat the Texans in any way, shape, or form. If they're controlling that, they're allowing their pass rushers to get home. It means your guys up front in the offensive line are not properly blocking. And if that's the case, it's going to be a long day for the Patriots because this Houston Texans team can make you pay in so many different ways. So that's really what stands out to me in Houston right now. Even if they're able to neutralize the front 7, which is not easy, they still have a very formidable secondary as well. Derek Stingley Jr., one of the best corners in the league. Jalen Petre, I think, is one of the most underrated defensive backs in the league this year, the work that he does from the slot. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to watch. But this Houston Texans defense is a force, and the New England Patriots are going to have all they can handle on Sunday evening.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more with that. Steve, give me your thoughts on the Houston Texans Patriots matchup this weekend. Just right off the rip, your first thoughts when it comes to this matchup here.
Well, I mean, you have to look at it just like what Mike was just saying, and I missed part of that. I'm sorry, I had to step away for just a second. But look, the defense of the Texans is legit. It's a legitimate top 2 defense in the NFL. Everything, all three levels are really solid. I think they present a formidable matchup, and it all comes down to execution. If you don't execute, then you're not going to win the football game. I mean, you can't be half stepping in this game, and it's going to come down to who wins the individual matchups. And it comes down to obviously the scheme, but look, the Patriots are facing a formidable defense this week. We know that, but the offense of this team has been very, very good all season long. So I think it's a strength on strength matchup, and I think it's one that's going to present Josh McDaniels with a lot of ways that he's going to have to, out scheme Houston, and that's what I wanted to mention when it comes to the scheme. Okay, one of the things that we've been hearing about the Texans, and it's very true, they don't do anything exotic. They line up and show you, hey, you can't beat us the way we line up because we're going to do what we do, and we're going to take it to you. And that reminds me a lot of the past generation Steelers teams, right? Those defenses, they were a lot of the same way. We do what we do, and you can't beat us. Well, Josh McDaniels has done very well against teams that have that type of do what we do system, and he's been able to scheme around that. And that's why I'm very confident that he's going to find a way to get it done. Now, granted, he had Tom Brady doing that. Drake May's only in his second year. We have to take that into consideration. But look, I don't think this is a nightmare scenario for them. I'm very confident that he's going to find a way as long as they execute.
Yeah, I think my initial thoughts on this contest really are, for one, got to be terrified of that front. Defensively, they have so many playmakers. With the Texans having Jalen Petrie on the back end, playing not only slot corner but also kind of a rotational safety, can be an absolute ball hawk. The Texans really have taken the ball away. And force some turnovers, especially through the air, this year. And that usually comes from getting so much pressure up front. They almost never blitz. They bring four, and they can get pressure very effectively. They're fast. They play downhill. I do think that there are options. There will be, not options. I do think there will be opportunities for this Patriots team to score. And I do think that there's some options in the slot, and I think the Patriots are going to be trying to keep them in base defense, and really, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots also do a lot of 6 offensive line looks. They used it quite a bit last week against the Chargers, and I think that they could be having a 6th offensive lineman kind of game. And I do think that there's opportunities to be had over the top of this Texans defense. The question is, does Drake May have enough time for plays to develop downfield? If they can develop downfield, I do think they'll take their shots. I do not think that's something that that should be overlooked. I think that as good as Derek Stingley is, Kayshon Boutte, I believe it was his first touchdown, had a pass over the top there. Pop Douglas last year versus the Texans had some good year, had a very good game. I do think that you are going to have opportunities there, but if the Patriots were to lose this game, guys, I have a hard time coming up with ways they're going to lose this game, other than the fact is we started the year talking about the Patriots offensive line being a concern, and we end the year with the Patriots offensive line letting them down in a critical spot. That's what I think could happen if they end up losing this game. I do think that's what it's going to be. The question is, can they hold Drake May? Because honestly, watching the Texans play last week against the Steelers, they didn't play terrible on offense for them. They had 400 yards on offense. If you watched the game, though, it didn't look like it. That offense cannot score well. CJ Stroud did not play a very good game. If the Patriots are able to protect Drake May, the Houston Texans will not keep up with them offensively, at least in my opinion. Steve, any thoughts on what I just shared?
Absolutely. Look, the one thing that's overlooked, after the Texans, performance against Pittsburgh was the fact that the Patriots defense, they held a better offensive team in the Chargers to just 3 points. And the Chargers only averaged 3.5 yards per play in the game. So, look, I if it comes down to a defensive rock fight, as long as they don't shoot themselves in the foot, or as Tom Curran loves to say, pee down their own leg with turnovers, right? If they don't do that, I think they're going to win this football game, because I think the Patriots defense can shut down that offense. And that's going to be the big key. They're not going to have to score 30 points, in my opinion, to win this football game. And see, that's a big thing. Look, I think, when it comes to, the Patriots defense against their offense, they might be missing, and we don't know about Christian Gonzalez yet, but they might be missing Nico Collins for this game. I'm pretty sure they will be, considering, when we saw that awful way he hit the ground right in his forehead with no, ability to brace himself against that. I think, he's probably going to be out of this game. That's a big loss for them. Now, Christian Kirk had an awesome game, but watching that game, I kept having the feeling, and until the fourth quarter, that the Aaron Rodgers from just 4 or 5 years ago wins that football game, because there was times when he was flushed because of that pass rush that we've been talking about, where a couple of years ago, Rodgers runs for a first down, or he makes one of those backyard, schoolyard type of broken plays where he hits somebody down the field. At 42, he can no longer make those plays, but those were there. And I think, if all things being equal, if they flush Drake May out of the pocket, especially they play a lot of man coverage, I think that the opportunities for May will be there to make some yardage and keep the chains moving.
Absolutely. Mike, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Steve is definitely onto something. Look, I mean, you look at the way this team is set up, and you talk about the formidable nature of that defense and how relentless they're going to be. I think you guys have laid a scenario out very nicely where there are areas that can be exploited. This team can be had in the middle of the field. This team can be had on the deep pass. I think a lot of people forget that because Houston is so good up front, and they dominate the line of scrimmage, and that's where you really see, teams kind of fall apart. We saw the Buffalo Bills, succumb to that, only, putting up 19 points against this team. The problem is that the Bills never were able to get any type of control back on the line of scrimmage, so they couldn't take the deep shots down the field. That's where it's going to be so vital to New England in order to be able to get to this game and potentially win this game, is win those battles, because Drake and his crew of pass catchers can make things happen. We've seen it, and I believe, like you said, Derek, Kayshon Boutte could be primed for a big game here, because that the Texans are going to try to take away Diggs. From the time that he spent there last year, they're well aware of his tendencies and what he can do. This could be another game where Boutte actually becomes maybe even their leading receiver at times. So that's an option for them to be able to utilize as well. Steve, I want to go back to something that you said about Nico Collins. Everybody's talking about the potential loss of Christian Gonzalez, and that would be a huge problem for the New England Patriots on the defensive side of the ball. We're also waiting on word of Kyrie Tonga. Hopefully we can get him back in the lineup for this week. But Collins being out of that lineup for the Texans is huge for them. He is such a big part of how that offense gets going and how C.J. Stroud is able to feed off of his pass catchers. So that could be a potentially, I don't want to say a demoralizing loss for the Houston Texans. They still have a lot of talent on that side of the ball, but it could be a big one and a significant one if they don't have a game plan to be able to replace his type of production. So there are definite opportunities where the Patriots can come out on top here. Anybody saying this is not a winnable game for them hasn't been doing their homework.
Yeah, I think you both are. I think you both are on it there. I wonder, guys, what the plan's going to be in terms of how they want to mix things up in the protection scheme. And then are they going to make changes? Is Ben Brown going to see more snaps? Are they going to bring in more bigger tackles, on the edges? Are they going to try to get something super fancy? I mean, I don't know exactly, Steve. If you were gonna guess kind of what McDaniels wanted to do with protection, it seems to me that this isn't a game you want to really get too cute. I mean, what's the point of trying to dress up something? I think what you're really just trying to do is just to quite literally hold on because these four rushers want to penetrate and get upfield. You don't really need to spend a lot of time. Like, to me, this isn't the time for the flea flicker or the reverse double pass. This is drop back, hold Will Anderson off for 4 seconds or 3.5 seconds, and let Drake just try to pick up 15 yards off down the field. Because again, I do think that if the Texans are playing downhill from in the secondary, you have a chance, if Drake can get that protection, to get one out and get some big chunk yardage on maybe an over aggressive Houston defender.
Yeah, and look, I think we all recognize how good their pass rushers are, and you have to, you might have to keep a running back in, all right, to help out. You might have to chip with your tight ends on the way out. I mean, these are all things you can do. You can keep an extra lineman in. If I'm Josh McDaniels, look, I go back to the last time the Patriots won in the playoffs, and the first game was against the Chargers, right? Had a fearsome pass rush with Bosa that year. And what did they do? They schemed it up where, and again, we're talking about Tom Brady, but Brady was getting the ball out so quickly that Bosa even said, he yelled at Brady, like, quit throwing the ball so quickly. And that's where your slot guys come in, right? And your tight end. Yeah, you have to get open quickly, catch the ball, keep the chains moving, keep in front of it. And they were able to do that and neutralize that pass rush and then get the running game going. And that was all complimentary. And I think they can do that. I think they can. Now, again, it comes down to execution. Are you able to? But, I think the game plan will be right there in front of them.
Mike, any thoughts on this?
No, I believe it as well. I think Steve is right on the money. I think they do have a game plan that is right in front of them for that. And look, I think on both sides of the ball, I think if we're being honest, when it comes to New England and their chance to take it to the Texans on both sides of the ball, it really is going to begin in the scheming room this week. I think they really have to look at what the strengths are of the Houston Texans offensively, what the strengths are defensively, and then use your ability to counteract what they're able to do. I always come back to the defensive side of the ball because I think that's going to be an interesting chess match. Everybody always is gravitating toward what Houston's defense is going to do to Drake May. I would take a page out of what they did last week to do to the Chargers. Keep sending those rushers from the second and third level of the defense, with the defense kind of honing in on Milton Williams and Christian Barmore, which they're going to do. Those guys have the talent to be able to shake the double team or absorb it when they need to free up guys like Harold Landry and Caleb Von Jason. But to me, I think it's going to be the secondary, rushers that are going to get after and cause problems for C.J. Stroud that really could be the deciding factor in this game. That's an X factor to me and something I'm watching very closely. If the Patriots do dial that up again this week, I know Houston will be ready for it, but I don't know if they necessarily have the personnel to be able to stop it. I would have thought the Chargers had the personnel to stop it last week, and they couldn't in a lot of respects. I think this is going to be a very interesting part of this game coming up.
I want to thank everyone who's listening live to this episode of Patriots No Huddle. Again, brought to you by PatsFans.com. Please do hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Also, like, share, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Helps us keep high. It helps keep us high in the podcast rankings so other Patriots fans can find us. If only I've said that maybe 4,000 times like I do without butchering, but here we go. So, where do we want to go,
15 years and 15 and a half years doing this.
Yes, that's true.
You've said it once or twice.
just a few times. What's going on, Chris? Thanks for tuning in live. Thanks for everyone who's listening live. Mike, where do you want to go next?
Let's get right down on the field. You know what? I'm tired of waiting. Just let these guys down on the field. Let's get the game going. No, I'm kidding.
It does kind of feel like that.
Gentlemen, the third phase always is a challenge when it comes to predicting playoff football. But you and I, and all three of us know, and all of us listening out there know that the third phase of the game, special teams can affect this matchup. And I think it will come down to some special teams. We saw the special teams tacklers really come out in droves. We saw Andy Borregales be able to make kicks in tough situations. Bryce Behringer obviously looks like the punter that everybody always believed he would be, and hopefully that will continue into this game. Paisan, I'll pose a question to you. I'll take a page out of Derek's, and I'll go to you on this one. When you look at the special teams matchups for this game, especially with Fairbairn kicking very well now for the Houston Texans, do you believe the Patriots can take an advantage in this game here with their prowess in the third phase, or is Houston's unit to be reckoned with? Is this more of a neck-and-neck matchup?
I think it's going to be a good matchup. But again, I mean, I look at Marcus Jones as a potential game breaker. And that's somebody, the Texans will be, wanting to get their guys down the field and stopping him from getting any kind of return game going, because I think he has the potential to break a game wide open. And, all it takes is get past that first guy, and he is really, really dangerous. And that's something that the Patriots should be game planning this week. How we get Marcus. I mean, look, in what we perceive to be a very low-scoring defensive game, a lot of times that doesn't work out that way. But if it is, and it's a low-scoring game, all it takes is that one big play to get you over the hump. And I think Marcus Jones gives the Patriots that aspect.
I think Marcus Jones brings absolutely can make an impact, and I do think, Mike, your overall thoughts on special teams are certainly fair. I think that in a game like this, especially when you have two defenses that have been stingy with points, you really, I feel position and things like that are going to matter in this one. There's absolutely no doubt there. Steve, where do you want to go next?
Well, I mean, look, we talked about offense, defense, special teams. We're down to the final 8, right? There's only 8 teams left in the tournament. And want to talk about some predictions?
Yeah, let's do that in just a second. Let me just go off one more thing.
Sure.
What Isn't it crazy? I just to take a second, just based on something you just said, it's crazy that the Patriots are here. I mean, they're 1 win away from the championship game, the conference championship game, um, and 2 wins away from going to the Super Bowl again, which is just unbelievable. And I just wanted to take a second to just say that out loud. I thought about that constantly, and we'll see. We'll see where how this falls. I think the Texans are 0-6 in the divisional round in franchise history. They've only lost to either the Patriots, the Ravens, or the Chiefs. So I have seen that a few times. But I guess, Mike, I'll go to you first on this. Give me your thoughts before we do our predictions. Your thoughts as CJ Stroud. What are your concerns? What are what are things that you feel like give the Patriots the edge? Anything about him in general.
Well, Stroud is obviously one of your better quarterbacks in this league. I think, a couple of years ago, people were talking about him being maybe potentially one of the top 3 in this league. And I still think he has the chance to remain in the top 5 when it comes to what people look for in a quarterback and what you can expect from him each and every night out. It's a guy that's going to give you solid production. There's no question about it. But there are situations where he struggled with ball security, and he did against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday. We saw that, especially in the first half. There are issues that can be had. So if you can get to him before he has an opportunity to settle down, you can keep him off base, and all of a sudden the Patriots are clicking on all cylinders. Last year was a little bit of a step back from where he was in 2023. We thought, he'd bounce back this season quite strongly in 2025. I think it has been a bounce back for him, but maybe not to the level where everyone thought he was going to be. So bottom line, if you get to him early and you get him off his game, I think there can be opportunities for the Patriots defense to keep him in check, obviously, but he can throw for big yardage. We've seen him do it on several occasions. He can run with the ball as well, so he has the ability to be a solid dual threat. It's about the Patriots' game plan and how they plan to take him out of his game. If they can devise something that will allow that, I think the Patriots' defense has the upper hand in this matchup.
Steve, what are your thoughts on Stroud?
Yeah, I think Mike hit the nail right on the head there. I mean, look, I watched the game. I thought Pittsburgh did a really good job of keeping him off balance until I would say late into the third quarter, into the fourth. Then they wore that defense down because their own, the Steelers' offense wasn't able to generate anything. So I look at that game and I was like, I thought Pittsburgh did a great job on that. I think the Patriots can come up with a very similar game plan. I think the Patriots' defense is better than Pittsburgh's. And, if they play the kind of coverage they did on Sunday night, I think they're going to make life very difficult on Houston's offense.
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder what the Patriots do with Stroud. I do think he's a good quarterback. I do think he was a little reckless the other night. Him and my buddy Jake Andrews, the center there, did not have the best exchange throughout the evening. Although I put a lot of that on Stroud, but he definitely was a little deer in headlights last week, but he rallied, but the offense is just not a clean operation for them. But anyways, let's jump into the matchups, guys. We'll start we'll just start in the NFC, and we'll just go around the horn here. So Saturday evening, we have the 49ers at the Seahawks on DraftKings. These will all be from DraftKings. If anyone from DraftKings is listening, feel free to sponsor us. That'd be great. But DraftKings 7.5-point favors. The Seahawks are at home. Steve, who do you got?
Yeah, I like Seattle in this one. I think I'm still amazed by the 49ers, as beat up as that team is. What a game they played in Philly, right? And I'm not selling the 49ers short. It's just, how can they keep winning with the injuries that they have? But they keep doing it. I think it's going to be a close game, but yeah, I think Seattle at home takes this one.
Yeah. Mike, over to you.
I want nothing more than to be able to say that the 49ers are going to keep this going and get a home, Super Bowl berth, and they seem to be the team of destiny and winning against all odds. But the injury to George Kittle, I think that really tips the scales. He is such an important part of what they do. And I understand that San Francisco was able to rally and they were able to keep the ship afloat against the defending champs last week. But Seattle is coming in, and that defense is playing as strong as I've seen a defense play in a while, especially a Seattle defense. They're going to continue, I think, to ride that wave. I think it's going to be close. I really believe that the 49ers are going to give the Seahawks everything they can handle. But at the end of the day, I believe Seattle will move on as well.
I really think the Seahawks are a phenomenal team. The defense flies around. McDonald's been tremendous. I still don't trust Sam Darnold. I just don't. I trust him in this game, and I'm taking the Seahawks to win. But I don't love the idea of Sam Darnold just leading them to victory for all 3 games. I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't think that, but then again, I would say that any team in this playoff race could be beat. I don't think there's any just total juggernauts. The 49ers have been great in terms of how they've overcome certain things this year. I just think that they just keep taking hits. They just keep taking hits, and with Kittle last week too. I don't know. I never put it past a Shanahan style offense to, be able to outscore, another team. And McCaffrey's a handful for everybody. But at some point, I just think the 49ers are just not going to have enough. So I don't have the Seahawks winning by 7.5, but I have them picking up the win. If we go to our next game here, Sunday, 4:30 Eastern, is it 4:30 Eastern? No, sorry. It is Sunday evening. It's the Rams at the Bears.
6:30.
6:30. Appreciate it. Rams at the Bears. The Rams are favored by 3.5. Steve, thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I mean, look. I keep not rooting, but I keep predicting that the Bears are going to lose, and it seems like every week, and every week they prove me wrong. This one is going to be a really good football game, I think. Because the Rams haven't been great on the road this year. I believe they're 5-4 on the road. They're going to be playing in cold weather. A game against Chicago, who's been, the cardiac team, right? All these late heroics that they come out and win. I want to say the Rams are going to beat them handily, because I think that offense can take advantage of Chicago, but I don't know. I just have the feeling Chicago has one more big win in it, and especially being at home, I think I'm going to take the Bears here.
Mike, what about you?
Again, I haven't been doing shows with Steve for 15 years, but we have been doing shows together for about 6, and paisans think alike. I don't know. There's something about the way the Bears are playing football right now. I can't really put my finger on it to say. I mean, they're playing good football. I mean, you can say a ton about the way, that Ben Johnson has coached this team and the way that Caleb Williams has kind of, ascended to the level that everybody thought he would coming, as the number 1 pick in the draft last year. The Bears defense is playing very well. So there's a lot that would lead you to believe that the Bears can be, formidable in this game. But there just seems to be like a touch of destiny that's surrounding this team that really leads you to believe that that type of a comeback that they made last week against the Packers is the start of something special. I know the Rams are formidable, but they can be had in the right situation. And as well as Matthew Stafford has played, I do believe that they have there is a blueprint to beating them. And I think, Johnson and the coaching staff are definitely right there in terms of being able to do it. So who do I like in this game? Once again, folks, I like the team that starts with a C, ends in an O, has a hikag in the middle, and is going to allow us to feast on beer and Polish sausage all throughout the weekend. Give me the Bears by a touchdown.
It's my kind of town, Chicago is.
The town that Billy Sunday couldn't shut down, Steve.
That's it.
I will get this train back on the rails here after that. Please, if we're ever doing a show and I need to be the one to keep it on the rails, we're in trouble.
Well, I had to do a little Sinatra in there.
There you go. I'm not overly impressed with the Rams. I still don't trust the Bears. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna take the Rams because I trust McVay and Stafford, and I don't trust Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. But they're dangerous. I mean, Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson are both dangerous in a good and bad way for them. They are very they have some big explosive plays. Man, in that game versus the Packers, Caleb Williams had the full talent spectrum on display. I mean, missing easy, wide open guys on crossers and airmailing certain balls, and then rolling one side, throwing across his body, or throwing on the move downfield, flip of the wrist, weird arm angle, perfectly feathered in, layered throw. I mean, he's unbelievable from a talent perspective, but he's just very erratic. And, I just trust the Rams. I think the Bears are better top to bottom. I just trust the Rams more. I'll have them squeaking out by a field goal in this one. I do think it's going to be a good game. The Bills are going to the Broncos on Saturday. The Broncos are favored by 1.5. I'm going to go first on this one. I am going to take the Broncos, but I don't love it. Here's why. The Broncos, to me, their defense, their pass rush, I do think is going to get after Josh Allen. Josh Allen's been dealing with a lot of injuries. I think that he's going to have to be Superman in this game, and they're going to make him be Superman. And I just don't think he's going to have the mental strength and the physical strength to just do it. I just think that while the Broncos, I don't think are world beaters, I think that they're consistent, and the Bills are anything but consistent. They're very all over the place, and sometimes that offense can be rolling, and sometimes it can't. I'm not worried about the Broncos putting up, a huge, flash flood of points offensively, unless they get some help by the defense or special teams. But I think that they're going to consistently put points on the board, consistently put pressure on Allen, and unless they just totally snap out of it, I think the Broncos end up winning this game, and I have them by about a touchdown. I'm going to go 27-20 Broncos in this one. Steve, what about you?
Well, I'm just going to do a little bit of shameless self-promotion here.
Please do.
Last week I was off by 2 seconds. I said that the Bills were going to beat Jacksonville with Josh Allen scoring a touchdown in the last minute. He did it with 1 minute and 2 seconds left. So there you go. I think he's going to do it again. Like you said, I think that Broncos defense again is very legit, but I'm not sold on that offense of theirs. And I think Buffalo's defense will do just enough to keep them in the game where Josh Allen will do Josh Allen things, right? And set up an AFC championship game where New England next week.
Yep. Mike, what do you think?
I've gone back and forth on this one so many times. And look, I said it before the season, and I know, Steve, you said it as well. And Derek, I believe you said it. We all agreed that the Buffalo Bills were still the class of the AFC East until someone unseated them. And the Patriots have done that. With the Kansas City Chiefs now no longer in the race, we would probably agree with that the Buffalo Bills were the most formidable opponent that the Patriots would need to face. I still stand by that. The Denver Broncos can beat them. There's no question about it. That defense is legit without any question. And one of the defenses that scared me the most this year about potential matchup problems with the Patriots was the Denver Broncos, not just because of Surtain, but so many of the pass rush and the way that they match up is problematic for New England. I would caution Bills fans to be overconfident in this game because offensively, you're banged up. I mean, this is a team that is missing. Now they're missing Shavers. Gabe Davis is on the shelf. Curtis Samuel, they haven't had him all season long. You're relying on guys like Brandon Cooks, who still has a lot left in the tank, but is not the same player that he was. James Cook has got an awful lot on his shoulders. And Steve, you mentioned Josh Allen is banged up. Not only is Allen banged up, but to me, I think the biggest injury that I'm watching on the Bills side of the ball right now, Dalton Kincaid. He was questionable, or I should say he's a limited participant. He hasn't been, deemed as questionable yet, but he's been dealing with a knee injury. That's been the last few weeks, but a calf injury has popped up as well, and this could be of greater concern, in my opinion, for the Buffalo Bills because as a tight end in the cuts, the blocks that you need to make, you need to push off. If your calf is injured or if you're in any way hampered, that can really affect the way that you're able to break, and he's such a big part of that offense. But again, if you're asking me who I trust with the game on the line in this situation, I'm sorry to say it, Broncos fans, I trust Josh Allen, even an injured Josh Allen, more than I trust Bo Nix right now. I think the Buffalo Bills take this. I think they take it on a field goal. And again, we're looking at an AFC championship game here next week in Foxborough.
Absolutely. That would be very exciting, which brings us to the game of the hour. Oh, I guess I guess if anyone wants to share anything before we go ahead and get into this game, that's fine. But I figure we're just ready to just hop right into it. We have the Patriots hosting the Texans, 3 points. The Patriots favored by 3 points, excuse me. Over under 40.5. So just figured I'd throw that up there too. Who wants to go first? I guess, Mike, I'll go to you. Give me your thoughts on the Patriots-Texans game and a score prediction, please.
Well, I think this is going to be a low-scoring game, folks. I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of offensive explosion on either side of the ball, and that's to take nothing away from either offense, especially from Drake May in front of that home crowd. But this Texans defense is legitimate, and they are going to limit the opportunities that you have. I do believe they'll be successful in holding the line of scrimmage at times, and it's going to make things look a little bleak. But I love Josh McDaniels' ability to rise above what other teams do well and not only be able to withstand it, but to take it and put it back in your face. I think at some point you're going to see the Patriots win those battles in the trenches, and when they do, the Patriots have to be opportunistic and capitalize on some explosive plays down the field, utilizing Drake, utilizing his pass catchers, and opening things up. If they can do that, and the runners allow the Patriots to be able to get some control of the line of scrimmage back, I like their chances in this game. I say the Patriots take this one by a final score of 27-24, and I think they're on their way to the AFC Championship game right back here in Foxborough in a week, a little more than a week, depending on when you're listening to this.
Steve, what about you?
Yeah, I'm taking the under in this game. I think it's going to be a little bit, low scoring. But I think after this game, we're going to be talking about defense, and we're going to be talking about the Patriots' defense. I think Josh McDaniel also finds a way. I think the Patriots score enough to win the football game. I have the Patriots 24, the Texans 16.
I'm so torn. I do agree with both of you that it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think I'd be shocked if either team got over 24 points. I really want to pick the Patriots to win the game, but I do think that the image of Drake getting killed in that pocket last week, it's hard. It's hard to go into this game and feel overly confident when the Texans have a better defensive front, better defense as a whole, and you watched Drake May get hit, fumble the ball twice, lose one. Yeah, it was the pick wasn't on him, but still the turnover on offense was caused ultimately by pressure and then defensive linemen getting up and tipping the ball. So I think the Patriots are going to win the game, but there's no doubt in my mind that if they lose the game, we're talking about how Drake just couldn't get anything going. with that offensive line in front of them. I just think if the Patriots are able to solve that riddle and do it, because if they can do it against this team, they can do it against anybody. And if they can solve that thing, that I do think the Patriots have an opportunity. If the Texans can't get to Drake May, the Patriots win this game by at least 10 points. But I just don't believe that to be the case. I think they are going to put pressure. I think it's going to muck up the score. I just have more faith that Drake May is going to figure it out with the Patriots on offense than Houston is going to figure it out with CJ Stroud. So I'm going to go Patriots 23, Texans 16. And I have so we are all on the Patriots this weekend. But it is certainly a close one. Steve, final thoughts?
I think it's going to be a great football game, right? And you thought the atmosphere was electric last weekend, with the Chargers coming in on Sunday night. I think with the divisional game here on Sunday, late Sunday afternoon, right, with the Houston Texans coming in, I think it's going to be crazy there. And look, I think Mike Vrabel has been pushing all the right buttons all year long. I think him and Josh McDaniels get this one figured out. I do. I think, look, this Patriots team is so far ahead of where we thought they would be at this time. I think they're just now beginning to realize what great an opportunity is sitting right in front of them.
Definitely, certainly. I will go first, or I will go next, Mike, and then why don't you share your final thoughts and take us out, my friend? Final thoughts for me. I could not last week go into that game and say the Patriots, if they lose, it's okay, because the way they played in the regular season, it felt like you had to have that postseason win. And man, I do feel like them making the run they had over the regular season and then to get to win that first playoff game at home has just created so much juice, so much energy, so much of a spark around this team. It's exciting to see. Now, I mean, they've been playing with house money for a good amount of the year, but this is really where, hey, the chips are down and we're going to have to see where, we're going to have to see how it plays out. And it's going to get really interesting. I think, look, selfishly, I want the Patriots to win. Well, for one, obviously. For two, but the other, aside from just being a fan of the team, it's really the drama if the Patriots win of hosting the Bills in the AFC Championship game or going on the road to Denver, hosting a division rival, but the opportunity to keep them out of the Super Bowl and push you into that stratosphere again would be so juicy. And look, if they were to beat, and if the Bills were to beat the Patriots, then you know what? That's that would be huge from their side. The story, the narrative would be interesting either way. We know Denver's been a house of horror for the Patriots, and honestly, I just want to crack at Denver because I still have my doubts about Denver, and I honestly think the Patriots are better. But that's just me. I am hoping we get to see that matchup. I think that would be kind of fascinating. So anyways, that's my final thought. I'm looking forward to this weekend. The slate of games over the wild card were absolutely excellent. Turned into a little bit of a snoozer last night, but I'm glad it's just down to Saturday and Sunday this weekend. The the 8 best teams, 4 great games. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, without question. I think you hit the nail right on the head there, Derek. If you want great football this last weekend, wild card weekend, and then, of course, divisional round weekend, some of the best you'll find anywhere throughout the season, because you're talking about the teams that deserve to be there, that have taken their share of hits and still were able to move forward. And I think that's also feeding into my final thought here, is that enjoy this ride that the New England Patriots are on. Don't forget how far this team has come in such a small amount of time. We all heard this week about the anniversary of Mike Vrabel being named head coach of the New England Patriots, and sitting in that press conference and listening to him saying, we want to compete for a division title, we want to host playoff games, we want to get to a Super Bowl. It sounded like it was so far away, but you had hope that it was going to happen under his leadership. There was a command that Mike exhibited that day that led everyone to believe that this is a guy who is going to lead you to the promised land. I still don't think there was anybody in that room that day, other than maybe Mike himself, that believed that it was going to happen in year one. But that is the ride of the NFL. Things can change. There's an ebb and flow to this league like no other in professional sports. And the job that the Patriots have done on all three levels of the team, whether you're talking about the front office, the coaching staff, or the players down there on the field, they have all stepped it up. They've bought into this concept. To take a page out of Drumline, they're one band, one sound in New England right now, and it's paying dividends for them. So continue to enjoy this ride. Enjoy the game responsibly if you're heading up to Foxborough this week, and cheer on the Patriots and make it raucous like it was last week. Gillette was rocking, and we want to hear it rocking again. And just from an on-field tidbit as well, we talk about games being won in the trenches. Don't let that fool you, folks. If you think the Patriots have to win this one in finesse because they can't slug it out with the big bad Texans on both sides of the ball, that offensive line can be had. Houston's offensive line having issues recently. I know we talked about this earlier. 30th in pass blocking win rate, last in run blocking win rate. That could be your key to victory this weekend. So keep a sharp eye on that, but keep a sharp eye on us, because we'll be back to break down all the ins and outs, the ups and downs, and the highs and lows. Hopefully a lot more highs in the New England Patriots matchup against the Houston Texans. Don't forget, divisional round this Sunday, 3 p.m., Foxborough, Gillette Stadium. It's going to be a happening, and I know every Patriots fan is going to be glued to their set, or the lucky ones that are going to be in Foxborough will be in for a treat. Gentlemen, it's always an honor to share the microphone with you. Folks, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here on Patriots No Huddle and making us a part of your weekly Patriots coverage. On behalf of the great Derek Havens, on behalf of my Patriots Paisan, Steve Balistreri, I'm Mike Debate, reminding all of you to stay safe, stay well, be the change you wish to see in the world. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you back here again next time on Patriots No Huddle.